Hello back, my dear gringo friends, to a new report of Cuenca News. I wonder how many vice presidents in the US history have you had in one period? I bet this is the only aspect we can beat the US now. Yes, last Tuesday 7th, in 3 years of this government, the third vice president quit. Otto Sonnenholzner was the vice president with the most unpronounceable last name in Ecuador. Some call him the Alka-Seltzer vice president or the Schwarzenegger vice president. But at the end, he was not elected by the people. Actually, the one elected was Jorge Glass, whom also was vice president to Correa and that is in jail. The second was Maria Alejandra Vicuña, that also was condemned to jail for the crime of extortion. Her team had to pay her money in exchange for job security. But now let's see the nominees. Maria Paula Romo, the government minister, you have seen her at the COVID pandemic decisions, leading the police in the strikes of October of 2019, defending on CNN the indefensible lack of statistics of death due to the COVID pandemic in Guayaquil and so forth. Juan Sebastián Roldán, Secretary of the Presidency, already responded in the name of the President to CNN interviews about the lack of statistics of the dead. And Maria Alejandra Muñoz, the General Director of the Ecuadorian Customs Services. Some have said in social media she is the one responsible allowing the import of all those luxury cars during the disability scandal. One of them will be the fourth vice president of Ecuador in 3 years. On Friday 10th, the Cuenca's authorities for the COVID pandemic decided to keep the yellow semaphore for the coming week of the 13th till the 19th of July. I'll have a yellow birthday. In the analysis they published, they mentioned that week after week, the occupancy of the intensive care unit is rising with no week registering a descending curve, due to the lack of conscience of the citizens. In the same document, they are calling us, especially to the youth, so not us, to avoid activities that may involve agglomerations. They also informed that they haven't received an answer to the request of last week. Maybe they are busy now contacting for their vice presidential nomination. And more scandals. Pharmaceutical giant Roche donated to the Ecuadorian Institute of Social Security expensive medicines for the treatment of the COVID pandemic. But the medicines that were supposed to be for the Huasno hospital in Guayaquil, the ones indispensable to save the lives to those affected by COVID, were advertised and sold through social media and WhatsApp messages. And one of the sellers was a friend of the guy that tried to escape on an airplane weeks ago. Do you remember Daniel Salcedo, the one that does contracts with the state? Actually, do you remember that Daniel was traveling with a fake ID? Well, the name on that ID was of this Abraham Muñoz, the friend that sold the non-negotiable medicines in about $1,000. But how did he obtain them? That's the question all media and Ecuadorians have, but ES haven't responded to the info request. Ecuadorian shrimp makes news in China, but this time because in the interior of a container and the exterior of one package, they found traces of COVID ribonucleic acid. China did the test to more than 200,000 samples. The Ecuadorian government has confirmed that this finding does not mean the detection was contagious. And one of our readers informed us about the abuse at ES because while the president announced in March that the payment of contributions to the Ecuadorian Social Security Institute will be postponed for 90 days corresponding to the months of April, May, and June for voluntary and unrelated affiliates, late fees have been charged and some have had their insurance canceled. If this sounds familiar to you, contact me for further information. But seems that ES is having a problem with liquidity in such a way that this week the president of the Directorate of ES explained that to avoid problems with the payments of the retirement pensions in Ecuador, one option may be that the affiliated will cover it with an additional fee. Also, there are problems and delays with the payments of unemployment insurance that should have been paid in 10 days, and fired Ecuadorians haven't been able to access it for months. They say it is because of operating problems, but this is what is happening with these. And from this Monday, 13th of July, the urban public transportation of Cuenca will undergo some changes on the roads. So the use of the app Movit will be a good way to know where buses will be going through. The price of diesel was raised while Extra and Ecogas maintained their prices with a new band system to calculate the price that was announced by the government this week. In Cuenca, buses of interprovincial transportation are asking authorities to let them operate again, and transportation to Paute and Loja will be allowed from Monday 13th of July. News about robberies and insecurity are all around the corner in Cuenca. So even though this looks like chronic news, I need to tell you that we need to be careful. But a good news is that the flower park is open again. And if you did not get to hear the Cuenca University Choir on Friday, here is a sample of it, and you could find the link in the description. Let us know what you want to know about and share the good news with us. Thank you for the ones that have done that with us. I'm Indira and this is Cuenca News. See you next week.
Dicen que se empina y que no alcanza, que solo ha llegado hasta el dolor. Dice que ha perdido la buena esperanza y se refugia en la piedad de la